Redditors who have a Ring doorbell, what's the creepiest thing you have caught on it? Had mine detect the sound of someone screaming bloody murder in the middle of the night. Was only like 2 seconds, then stopped and didn't happen again. Then there was the time there was a shootout across the street and it picked up the sounds gunshots. I could hear the crack of the bullets on the opposite side of the house, but sadly not on camera. A chemical plant blew up a few miles from my house and you could hear the distant explosion and see an orange glow on mine. At 5ish in the morning, sun was just starting to come up and it's the middle of winter. My husband, half asleep, answers the doorbell on his phone in bed next to me. It's a toddler wearing nothing but a PJ top and underwear. Husband says hello, toddler says can. My son's name. Come out to play. Husband still half asleep says not right now, maybe later. About 3 minutes later, husband suddenly sits up as the reality of the situation dawns on him and he rushes out of the house to track down a wandering toddler walking barefoot in the streets in freezing weather. Turns out my son's toddler friend from daycare, who's been to our house once for a playdate, just walked straight out his front door undetected and memorized the route to our house. For me, it was the possibility of his little journey ending very differently than it did in a number of terrifying scenarios that still haunts me. We had the same thing happen. A neighbor's 2 very young children escaped late evening in the rain. Poor things were barefoot and it was so cold. I luckily walked past my front door and heard them crying outside on the pavement. I nearly ignored it, assuming it was someone walking past with their kids, but it just sounded wrong. 6 people standing about 10 feet from my door and just staring at my house this past September. They were there muttering to each other for almost 20 minutes before going to the next house on the row and muttering there too. My girlfriend thinks they were the Hoa, but I don't totally believe that. For the greater good. Not really creepy, but there's a serial gnomer in my neighborhood being caught on doorbell cameras. She's dropping off gnomes on the unsuspected and walks away. Honda Civic riding back and forth slowly around our neighborhood playing ice cream truck music loudly, hoping it was a stupid prank and not something more sinister. This sounds like 16-year-olds messing with people, trying to get kids to run outside just to be disappointed. My mom had to work late one night. I was home alone. There was a loud, booming knock at the front door. I peeped through the eye hole and saw a man dressed in black with a covered face. He just sat there in the lotus position being very still. As if that wasn't frightening enough, moments later I heard another loud knock at the back door as I was watching this strange man. I ran upstairs with the cordless phone and hid in the attic. I called 911 and that was pretty much it. Cops came and never found anything. Mom never left me alone again. Not creepy, but annoying. Our cat has figured it out and stands on the bin outside moving her paw. Clever girl. Some dude came up to our door in the middle of the night, kept saying do y'all have gasoline, and then just walked off. This post confirms that I am going to invest in cameras on every corner of my future house. Some of these are terrifying. I was drunk as frick watching my parents' house when they were on vacation. Woke up the next morning to a video my mom sent me. I was taking out the trash and dropped my phone in with the trash. I'm in my boxers trying to get my phone out of the trash can. My drunk butt falls into the garbage can and I had a heck of a time getting myself out. I remember none of it. My mom proceeds to send that video to the rest of my family, and extend family, and some family friends. Scary number, but pretty hilarious. Gonna need to see that video. I have security cameras if that counts. I saw a person running through my yard high as a kite in their underwear, screaming at police at the timestamp of 4 in the morning. I have no idea how I didn't wake up to this, as it ended in my front yard. I checked the cameras that morning, because this person destroyed part of my fencing that they couldn't see while running around in the dark. And I woke up to that damage and God knows what smeared all over our hood of the car. The police never notified us that this happened and I wouldn't have ever known if I didn't have the camera. Some guy came sliding up against the side of my house towards my front door like butter dripping off a hot biscuit, until he saw the Ring camera and then slowly backed away, still sliding against the wall. He didn't realize I also had a camera above my garage which watched him walk out back to the street and head for the neighbor's house. Scumbag. Also some piece of crap stole my boyfriend's package. Hope you enjoy your $20 wax burner you committed a federal crime for, dickweed. My mom saw a guy wandering around her yard with a baseball bat in hand late at night. Her, my brother, and our Great Dane went out to ask him what the frick he thought he was doing. Guy immediately ran off. Used to think security cameras at home were weird. Now I know they can give you a head start in case someone shady is about. I think I found a guy trying to stake out my place. He came up to my door, knocked it, tried to ring the doorbell. The doorbell was broken, and finally rang the Ring doorbell. He looked shocked to see it working, and he quickly took off in his car. My place was kind of burglarized a year before. I caught the burglar outside and screamed at him. My little brother is a sleepwalker. This one time he snuck out of the house while still asleep. My sister said she heard someone talking just outside the door. Went to look and saw my brother sat on the porch couch apparently having a conversation with my grandpa. She says he was telling my grandpa I love you and I'm going to miss you. My dad got him back inside the house without waking him up and nobody gave much thought into what just had happened until a couple hours later when my uncle called telling us my grandpa had passed away while asleep. My little brother says he doesn't remember anything but we got it on video. We can't hear what he's saying too clearly but he was definitely talking to someone and he sure as heck said I'm going to miss you at least twice. This is the kind of post I was looking for. I had an insane vagrant looking person on my front porch for about 10 minutes at 3 AM. He was having a conversation with an imaginary person. I could make out him saying something like I'll get the shovel Tommy, just don't hit me anymore. My neighbor's mom looking to come kick my butt while I was home. I didn't realize she was there until later BC I had headphones on. At the time I was 24 and he was 37 I think. He was all pissy because I told him next time I hear him beat his GF I'm calling the cops no matter how much he begs everyone not to. So he sent his freaking mom over. Rewatching that video just gives creepy vibes knowing that I was home but oblivious. Halloween. Kid trick-or-treating solo dressed as a creepy clown intentionally getting close to the camera and making faces. I'm terrified of clowns. In college I went as a normal not scary clown because the costume was $10 at the store. All night people came up to me telling me I sucked and they hated my costume. One chick threw her drink at me. I advise people never dress as a clown. A couple of guys attacked my bushes with a machete and threw the branches in the driveway. My family thought I ran into the bushes and scolded me before I showed them the footage. Still don't know why this happened. Guy 1. Every time I walk by that house I feel like that bush is watching me. Guy 2. Pulls machete out of his pant leg. Frick that, let's go teach it a lesson. What's most scary is my Ring doorbell went off several times in the middle of the night for no reason. I changed the setting to video only wake instead of audio video. It went on for about a month. Not with a ring, but my doorbell used to go off whenever somebody rang my neighbor's bell, and vice versa. I live alone and my son recently installed a Ring doorbell. About 5:30 AM I got a notification that a person was seen at my door. I watched the video and there was a really creepy person. Was still dark hanging around. I rang my son. He has the app to access the doorbell videos etc. Turns out it was me showing my dog there was no one outside. Bunch of cops with guns storming the house next door due to Q robbery. That led to me finding out my neighbor who is so blind he has a seeing eye dog has an open carry permit and a big handgun. Dude crouching behind my car while me and my mom got out, crept up right behind it and we didn't even notice. His face was covered, didn't see until a day or two later watching random clips. Solid snake just practicing. Was working on and moving into a back house apartment that wasn't quite ready yet. The creepy fall down drunk contractor who I had to let go from working on it pulled up at 5 AM and parked but didn't get out of his van for several minutes. When he did finally get out, he was putting himself back into his pants and zipping up. Then he went through the gate and into the private patio, where the camera couldn't see him anymore, and was gone for 5-10 more minutes. After that 5-10 minutes he reappeared back at his car without having retraced his steps back through the gate. I think he was looking all around to see if I had moved in yet. I'm a youngish single woman, and trying to catch me before I woke up if so. After that I think he just walked through the private yard of the front house to get out. He cryptically texted me later that he noticed someone moved into the front house and I freaked out because that someone is a single mom with 2 young kids. He came back a couple more times but the cops were always too slow. But it's been a while since the last visit, so I think he's done now. Or dead, who knows. Homeless people walking out of the woods near our house in the middle of the night, so they could use our porch light to shoot H. Have a security camera pointed at the back of the house toward my detached back garage. The weirdest thing that still fricks with me was late night on 4th of July. The noise of neighborhood fireworks kept the regular animals away, but my camera did pick up an individual hanging around the back of the house and neighbor's back lawn. Definitely was a person, but they were walking on all fours like a goddamn spider. Not once did they go back to walking on their legs. They were gangly looking, lean and not pudgy, also wearing a dark shirt and pants. Their face was always kept down. This creeper was crawling all around the back and into the neighbors' lawns on all fours for like 10 minutes before they fricked off and left the area picked up by the security camera. The next morning a pile of human-sized crap plus a copious amount of vomit was found in the middle of my driveway at the back of the house. There were whole unchewed Skittles in the vomit. So yeah, creepiest thing my outdoor camera has picked up. Gangly human crawling around the back driveway of my house on all fours while vomiting up Skittles. We had a guy approach our kitchen window where the kids were washing up, playing with his junk before he saw our camera and scarpered. Old lady down the street reported someone jacking off at her window barely 20 minutes later. The power line across the street burst into flames for a moment. Not a transformer, but the cable itself. Maybe it's not that unusual, but I've never seen anything like it. There was a huge pile of crap by our front door, which we assumed came from a Great Dane or a Bernese MTN dog. Something huge, and the owner didn't pick it up. My husband went through the night's video to see who the bad dog owner is so we know which of our neighbors sucks. But it wasn't a dog, it was a man we don't know. The footage was just bizarre. After he finished taking a crap, he then urinated on his hippo leavings and then seemed to regard the results with great pride. The fact that he was able to take a large crap with a full bladder, and only peeing once he finished crapping, is the scariest part of all. A neighbor's cat went missing, so we checked our ring to see if they walked past our house. All we saw was a guy riding his bike down our street at 4 AM. After we found a cage trap in the woods behind our house, we took a closer look at the video and realized the guy was riding his bike one-handed with the cat slung over his other shoulder. The police confirmed it was someone with a history of fighting dogs and was likely trapping cats for bait. We moved shortly after. Oh, no, that's so terrible equals. A moth. Maybe it was a butterfly. I fear, when I'm alone and the dark creeps into my thoughts, I fear it was a wasp that had learned the art of disguise. Yes, it could have been that. My brother watched Mothman Prophecies as a kid. 20 years and moths still terrify him. Related, when I was working in a restaurant bar, I watched a guy walking around 536-ish. He didn't acknowledge me, just walked in and straight to the bathroom downstairs. It was just me and one table in the bar, and I've got a great view of the door from my perch. About 30 minutes goes by and I notice the guy isn't coming upstairs, so I go down to check the washrooms and they're empty. Then I check the closets, the staff room, and there's no sign of him. I walk back upstairs and ask the table if they say anyone come by, and they said they say someone go downstairs, so I asked if the person came up. They shrugged and said they weren't paying attention. I got kinda creeped out because I was watching the door the whole time and swear on my life I saw someone walk in. Cameras were checked later and they didn't pick up anyone. They do pick up me going downstairs to check around and the table upstairs looking up when he would have walked in, but he doesn't show up. Also, the following day a very cool, vintage beer lamp that was in a display vanished. The cameras show the lights going off overnight and when they turn on the lamp was gone. It was a big lamp. There were motion detectors who all picked up nothing. All the doors were locked and no sign of entry. Things would change place or go missing and then turn up. And there would also sometimes be animals in inexplicable parts of the restaurant, like squirrels or possums. LOL. Just randomly appearing even though we had no pest problems or points of entry. None of this ever showed up on camera. Long story short, that place was haunted as frick. I watched a delivery driver get knuckle deep in their own nose and then plant a gangly looking booger on one of our columns. That was the funniest. The creepiest. Our neighborhood is a common target for porch pirates. Our neighbors got a bunch stolen off their porch a few years ago and we all put up cameras after that. You'd think porch pirates would recognize that many houses have cameras now, but you don't get to porch pirate status by being an intelligent person. I moved some cardboard boxes outside, intending to load them in the truck and take them to the town dump. I got busy and forgot I set them out on the steps. It got late. A porch pirate came along and picked up the main box that the rest were crushed into, thinking it was some expensive package. We were unaware anything was going on until the dogs went nuts, meaning someone was at the front door. I went out, took a quick peek. Nothing. The dogs went nuts again a few minutes later. This time I went back outside armed. Wouldn't be the first time I needed it. As I approached the front door, something ran across our front yard and through both sets of gardens. I then heard some crap box rev up and putter fart away. I checked security cam footage and witnessed that lowlife cram himself into the largest cardboard box to hide when I approached the door the first time. It's cool though. I left some presents for the porch pirates last year and they haven't been back since. Package up about 10 pounds of dog crap. Old chicken broth. Bonus if you let some chicken go rancid and toss that in too. And silver nitrate in a large Ziploc bag. Glue it upside down in a cardboard box so that the flaps contact the bottom. Glue the bottom of the bag against the flaps of the box. When someone opens the box, it tears the seal open and makes one heck of a mess that they will never be able to clean up. You got porch pirated by Solid Snake LOL. I have a camera in the hallway inside the house facing the door. Someone with a motorcycle helmet opened the front door, pet my dog, and then left. Checking the front yard camera. There was no motorcycle or car in the driveway. We changed the locks and got a security system that night. Probably should keep your door locked. I bought my ring when they weren't available in the UK. I imported it from America. Next door got broken into and the guy doing it was clearly looking at my doorbell wondering if it was indeed a camera or just some fancy new doorbell. I recorded him using their doorbell with his t-shirt over his finger to stop his prints, and him breaking and by kicking through the bottom panels of the door. I showed the video to the police and they said aha yep we know him. I also caught him smoking a cigarette, throwing it on the ground and leaving that sweet DNA on the butt. Police picked him up, used the cigarette and my videos as evidence and charged him. He got 3 years at Her Majesty's pleasure. Not creepy but nasty. I ordered Mac delivery and saw this delivery guy wiping his nose and put back the napkin in the bag with my food. A mama bear and her cubs getting into our trash cans and then getting a little too curious about our cars and coming down the driveway to investigate. Our dogs scared them off as soon as they got too close to the house, but getting that alert and watching the video made the door between us suddenly feel very flimsy. Yeah, it's funny how detached we can feel watching a live camera feed when it's on a screen. The real action could be happening like less than 10 yards away from you, but you're safely inside, watching it on your phone. Where I live, our houses are surrounded by walls so no one can actually walk from the street to the front door as they would have to go through the gate first. The people across the street from us came over to ask if we had camera footage from the night before as someone had broken into their house. When we reviewed the camera footage from the security camera, we saw that they had attempted to come into our house first by using an electricity box to try and climb over the wall. Fortunately, the wall and fence was still too high for them to get over, but it was scary nonetheless. Always be as secure as your neighbors, if not more, cause if a burglar is taking the risk of getting caught in a camera, he might give up on someone's house, look across the street and be like that one looks more breakable. Drunk guy dressed as Ronald McDonald throwing fries and swearing. Later that night he would be arrested at a Burger King for screaming anti-Semitic slurs. In my old home, the neighbor stabbing his wife almost to death, then the SWAT coming in and taking him down. But that's probably not what you wanted as an answer, I guess. Mine. Nothing exciting, but one morning my husband and I were out early for a run, and we saw a teenager walk up to a house, open the front door and walk in. Seconds later, screaming, yelling, Teenager books it out there and takes off down the street. About 3 minutes later the neighbor posted in our Ring neighborhood group about some random kid walking into their house and scaring the crap out of them. Turns out that this kid was texted with a friend and his friend told him doors open, come on in, and he was at the wrong house. And also apparently wrong house keeps their front door unlocked. Ensue fierce neighborhood debate on kids walking around on their phones not knocking. Why is your front door unlocked at 6 AM? Not a Ring cam, just a porch cam. The creepiest thing I've seen? Raccoons. Like 12 of them lined up on my porch staring at my front door for what seemed like a really long time. Not me, but my relative said there was a guy roaming the street in front of his house carrying an assault rifle. He had just bought his house and had just installed a security system which includes the Ring doorbell. Welcome to the neighborhood. The little red flag thing on our mailbox rising up and coming back down several times one night. There was no wind, no storms, no weather, a complete clear night. We decided to convince ourselves that it was the wind so we don't get freaked out by a paranormal event. Little after a year later, we caught on the inside kitchen camera the roll of paper towels completely coming undone by itself. That one really freaked us out since it took several seconds of continuous unrolling. Now we have a praying candle, a Bible and a crucifix in the house. Make sure to scatter cornstarch all over the floor. Movies have taught me that demons leave giant chicken footprints if you do that. Got an alert that someone was at the door and my dog barked, but no knock. I thought I heard something, so I checked the camera and a younger looking guy had walked up and tried to unlock my front door with what I guess was a key he found on the ground close to my house. In broad daylight, with our cars in the driveway. What the actual frick? If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.